Let's begin this meeting. Welcome, everyone. Glad to see you all here. Board Secretary will now call the roll.
Chair Mejia, Vice Chair Sutton,
Here.
Secretary Treasurer Yorve,
Here.
Director Angeles,
Present.
Director Kemp, Director Rawlings,
Present.
Directors Mejia and Kemp have been excused. We have a quorum.
That's terrific. Now Elizabeth Brown will present the February 2025 Employees of the Month.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair Sutton, members of the board, Mr. McDonald, and all others assembled here today. I am Elizabeth Brown, Executive Director and Vice President of Organizational Development and Administration. In support of LBT's strategic priority of fostering employee engagement, it is my pleasure to acknowledge the Employees of the Month for February 2025. The Employees of the Month for February 2025 are Kenneth Wang, Augustin Castellanos, and Teresa Anderson. Operator Kenneth Wang has been with LBT for 12 years, and this is his first Employee of the Month nomination. He is currently assigned to LBT1 and is frequently recognized for his outstanding customer service. Operator Wang warmly greets customers and thanks them for choosing to ride with LBT, creating a welcoming atmosphere. He is pleasant and professional with his coworkers, with outstanding attendance, and puts safety first in his decision-making. Mechanic Augustin Gus Castellanos has been employed with LBT for 26 years and is currently assigned to LBT2. He was Employee of the Year in 2009, and this is his 5th Employee of the Month nomination. His extensive experience and contributions to the maintenance team have been invaluable. Gus is a highly skilled mechanic known for his strong work ethic, problem-solving abilities, and willingness to mentor new staff. He plays a key role in providing management with insightful feedback, helping to identify fleet-wide issues and improve maintenance operations. His dedication to teamwork and unwavering commitment to excellence makes him a vital asset to the department. Teresa Anderson serves as Human Resources Generalist and has been with LBT for 18 years. She was Employee of the Year in 2019, and this is her 4th Employee of the Month nomination. Teresa has led critical improvements to the FTA drug and alcohol program and pension plan, ensuring compliance and enhancing HR operations. She navigates complex employee relations issues with empathy, professionalism, and sound judgment. Her hands-on approach and support for recognition events have made a meaningful impact. Beyond her role, she continuously finds innovative ways to celebrate and appreciate employees. Teresa is an asset to LBT, embodying the agency's values in all that she does. It is my pleasure to now present these valuable members of the Long Beach Transit team via video.
Hi, my name is Kenneth Wang. I've been a bus operator for 12 years at Long Beach Transit. My favorite part is seeing new people, seeing new places, and I guess that's one of the best parts about working here. Mostly humbled by being picked for the Employee of the Month, and I would like to say that
Hi, my name is Agustin Castellanos. I'm a mechanic for Long Beach Transit, 26 years. My favorite part of working with Long Beach Transit is getting the new equipment and learning new stuff, electrical, different fuels, different components, and teaching the new guys. the new skills that they learn. I would like to thank Long Beach Transit for honoring me to be Employee of the Month. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Teresa Anderson. I'm the HR generalist and I've worked at Long Beach Transit for 19 years this year. My favorite part about working at LBT is always the people. People here make this an incredible agency. There's no egos. Everybody's willing to help. It's a great place to work. The way I feel about being employee of the month was really surprised. I was so shocked to find out that my manager had nominated me. But of course, being employee of the month is a group effort, right? Everybody in my team is incredible. So the HR team, the ODA department is a great department. So it's really a shared prize, but I'm very grateful.
Thank you to all of the employees of the month for being dedicated to connecting communities, moving people, making everyday life better. We appreciate all essential workers, especially our own. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any comments from the public? Yay, you can do that, yeah. Hearing applause and celebration only. We'll move on. But thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate your report. Okay, at this time, I invite members of the public who want to address the board on any matter that does not appear on the agenda and is within the board's jurisdiction. If you have not already done so, I ask that you submit a speaker card to the board secretary sitting over here. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Agenda item 13 will provide an additional opportunity for members of the public who want to address the board on any matter that does not appear on the agenda and is within the board's jurisdiction. The board is here to receive comments only, and there will be no exchange of dialogue with the commenters. Are there any comments from the public? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item 5. Now Kenneth McDonald will present the President and CEO report.
Good afternoon, Chair Sutton, members of the board, and all who assembled here today. I am Kenneth McDonald, President and CEO at Long Beach Transit. My monthly agency report will highlight some of our accomplishments and ongoing activities centered around our strategic priorities. Our strategic priorities are improve safety and service quality, exercise financial accountability, foster employee engagement, enhance the customer experience, and promote community and industry focus. Recently, LBT launched a pilot project and installed screens and free Wi-Fi to customers on 25 battery electric buses. The installation of all 25 pilot buses were completed this month. As reported in the September 26, 2024 board meeting, the project is a partnership with LBT and Kajit, a company that provides Wi-Fi services on school buses. Customers using the Wi-Fi will have to log in with a valid email on their phones, tablets, or computers. The advertising screen, as shown on this photo, provides the instructions for using the free Wi-Fi. The pilot program is to evaluate the viability of the system to use advertising to cover the cost of providing Wi-Fi to LBT customers. The goal of the program is to pay for the system through advertising and establish a revenue sharing model for the agency and the vendor. This is a creative and innovative project that is being piloted to test the viability of expanding the service to the entire fleet as the concept succeeds. As a follow-up to the memo that was provided to the board earlier this week, in 2023, the California State Legislature passed Senate Bill 434 that mandated the 10 top transit agencies in California conduct safety-related survey of its customers. the Mineta Institute of Transportation in San Jose State University created a survey instrument for the agency to use. Last fall, LBT conducted this survey on board our buses and at bus stops, utilizing the instrument created by the Mineta Institute. The survey firm, ETC Institute, finalized the report this month. As per Senate Bill 434, LBT is required to post the results of the final safety survey report on its website, and copies were sent to the board of directors. The full results of our 3 recently finalized customer, community, and state mandated safety survey will be presented to the board at the March Board of Directors meeting. As I mentioned last month, Long Beach Transit was the host agency for the American Public Transportation Association's 4-day marketing, communication, and customer experience workshop. The workshop was held at the Hilton Hotel in downtown Long Beach this week. This was the first time this group of transportation, communication, customer service, and marketing professionals gathered in Long Beach for their annual meeting. The conference had its largest ever attendance of over 500 people who attended sessions and tours to learn strategies, tactics, and best practices from their national agency peers. LBT staff conducted tours of our water taxi services, our plans for building the infrastructure for a total zero emission fleet of vehicles, and how we have contributed to art in Long Beach. Thank you to LBT staff who led panel discussion. The Burner panel discussed the direct relationship between operations and customer service, and how operational challenges are the root issue that often plague customers. My goal panel related to the arts and cultural programming and how the arts and cultural programming can contribute to shifts in the way customers and communities view their experience in transit spaces. Aranza Chavarria, manager of communication and marketing, her panel focused on the future of social media marketing. Additionally, I want to express my sincere appreciation to all LBT staff who volunteered and made this event the record-breaking workshop in the 15-year history of the Marketing, Communication, and Customer Experience Conference for this national gathering. Thanks to each of you for your dedication to our agency. This workshop provided an opportunity for LBT to showcase our buses, our services, and the dedicated people who make it all work. On February 12th, LBT Procurement Department, in collaboration with the City of Long Beach, and you see our procurement manager up there, and the Port of Long Beach, participated in the City of Long Beach Capital Projects and Program Update event. The event was hosted by the Construction Management Association of America's Southern California chapter. This event served as a valuable platform for vendors to learn about how to do business with LBT, to familiarize themselves with LBT's DBE and SBE programs, and gain insight into LBT upcoming capital projects that will be open for bidding this year. LBT's ongoing partnership with CMAA continues to foster key opportunities for sharing information that LBT's capital projects, helping vendors prepare for upcoming bids while promoting transparency and broadening access to LBT's procurement process. As a part of the agency's effort to expand the job skill market in Long Beach, LBT's internship program will hire over 20 interns across 12 different agency teams. LBT hosted a successful intern interview event on February 20th. The event was held in this chamber, and participation from 10 hiring managers and more than 25 staff helped greet and guide the student throughout the day. 19 interviews were conducted during the event, and as a result, 7 pending internship offers are being extended this week. And there you see our hiring leadership team in the front of the building on the day of the event. In the agency's effort to promote community and industry focus, staff has participated in various community events this month. The community relations team partnered with LBT customer care team to staff a table at the Edison Elementary Community Resource Fair. At the event, customer care agent connected with students and families on LBT services and programs, including the student co-pass. Also in the month of February, LBT talent acquisition staff took part in the CSU Dominguez Hills Spring Career and Internship Fair. And the team participated in the Linwood Unified School District College and Career Fair, where information about the internship program was shared. That concludes my report for this month. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Are there any comments from the audience? Must have been fantastic. No questions. All right. We'll move on.
Excuse me, Vice Chair.
Oh.
Just want to make some
Yes,
comments.
please.
Yeah, thank you. It's so exciting. Thank you, Ken, for the report. It's so exciting to see LBT in the community and have a presence. So much going on. I saw some of the social media posts on the APTA workshop, and it looked amazing. I mean, there was one photo that showed like a full room of people, and that's awesome. Also, thank you to LBT staff who led the efforts to organize and staff the workshop. And I think it really was nice to have LBT, a presence of LBT, to expand our presence on a national level. In terms of the Wi-Fi pilot project, it's excited to see that that's kicking off. I'm excited to see how the riders benefit and our ongoing relationship with the vendor and see how that progresses. And that's all. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, moving on. Okay, now we're at the consent calendar. Now when we move on to the consent calendar, all matters included in the consent calendar are considered routine by the LBT Board of Directors and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the Board of Directors or the public so requests, in which event the matter shall be removed from the consent calendar and considered as a separate item. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So move.
Thank you. A second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, well, we need to hear from the public first. Are there any comments from the public? Hearing none. Those in favor, should we do roll call on this or?
Yes.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote.
Chair Mejia, Vice Chair Sutton,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Yorve,
Aye.
Director Angeles,
Aye.
Director Kemp, Director Rawlings,
Aye.
Directors Mejia and Kemp have been excused.
Thank you. The motion carries. Consent calendar is approved. Now, item 7, the monthly financial report will be presented by Lisa Patton.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair Sutton, members of the board, Mr. McDonald, and everyone assembled here today. My name is Lisa Patton, and I'm the Executive Director and Vice President of Finance and Budget. And I'm before you today to present the financial report for the period of July 1, 2024 through January 31st, 2025. The financial report includes three different reports. The first one is the first page, the summary, which gives you the statement of revenue and expenses. And so I see Jen has pulled that up, so we'll take a look at that. The top part of the report gives you the summary of the operating revenue, which Long Beach Transit directly generates. And so we can tell by looking at the report that the passenger fares are consistently growing in comparison to last month and last year. The next section is the subsidy revenues, which is the majority of how we pay for our services. Overall, those are largely on track. The one area that we're starting to see declines is in local revenue. And so it is increasing, but it's increasing at a rate that is slower than what was projected. The next section of the report gives you the summary for operating expenses. And so you can see operations is within budget, largely labor driven. Maintenance is right there on track, showing good budget management, and then admin, and then fuel and lubricants. If we go to the next page, we can see the details on all these expenses. And so under labor, as people in the people business, this is our largest driver of costs. Maintenance, we are seeing an increase there, and that reflects increased overtime. Fringe benefits is a part of labor, so those are all within budget. If we drop down to services, we can just see some increases for the month. Overall, that category is within budget. Under advertising, we see reflected there the Cal State Long Beach advertising that was both on campus and then digitally. For Prof and Tech, that reflects the technical and technical studies and legal expenses. And then contract maintenance included tree trimming and underground storage tank fees. Employment physicals are due to timing is up for the year. So if we go to the next page of our report, under material and supplies, overall the categories within budget, but one of the things that we are experiencing is higher costs in terms of fleet parts and supplies. So we see savings in fuel and lubricants, which is offset by the increased cost for fleet parts and supplies. Under miscellaneous expenses, a couple things here under taxes and fees. So we pay property taxes for business improvement districts. So that includes the Midtown area and then downtown. And then other includes a new fee from CARB, California Air Resources Board, which is for natural gas fuel vehicles. So overall, in terms of total operating expenses, the operating costs are showing that they're well managed, that we're staying within budgets while maintaining service quality. We go to the next page under assets. So this is the top part of our balance sheet. And we can see we're not seeing any big changes. We are seeing increases in receivables. And so you'll see there a state receivable for $9.7 million. Happy to say that the grants group was able to collect $4.4 million this month for the commuter express buses. So that'll go down next month. Under local receivables, what you'll see there is the receivables with the cities of Long Beach, Carson, Paramount, Bellflower, and Lakewood. If we go to the liability section of our report, under trade payables, we see an increase there. And that's the money that is accrued for Long Beach PD, the Allied services for Allied Universal Security Services, and for the Dial-Lift contract. Under accrued payroll liabilities, we do see a decrease there, and that's just fewer days accrued during the month of January compared to December. So overall, we're in a strong liquidity position that we're able to manage our expenses and maintain operations. That completes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? Yes.
You indicated that there was on the subsidies on the local part wasn't pacing. Can you give some rationale for why that is?
Sure. So our subsidies budget is based on the formula allocation procedure, which is LA Metro. So they come up with what they project are going to be the estimates for the year for subsidies, which is what we base our budget on. And what Metro is showing, what they're experiencing, is that tax collections, although increasing for the year, are increasing at a slower rate than what they projected.
And I was going to ask this to Marisol, but since this is a question we're probably more designed for you, in light of some of what's happening on the federal level, is there anticipation that that's going to have sort of any impact? I saw that the federal subsidy part of it. Is there any freeze that we're experiencing or anticipate to experience as it relates to the current state of affairs?
So for FY26, the good thing is that's the final year of the bipartisan infrastructure law. So we know that through FY26, there is a funding level there that's guaranteed. And so at the federal level, what they'll tell you is that transportation is bipartisan. And so if we look at the data from the Obama administration to the Trump administration and then to the Biden administration, what we saw was 10% swings. And so during the Obama administration, going to the Trump administration, it declined 10%. And then with Biden, we went up about 10%. So I think it's fair to assume that FY27 and beyond, that we can expect a 10% decline. It is obviously it's too early to tell. And so we'll see as reauthorization goes forward, how that plays out. But right now, that's the best projection that the industry has.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, I have a question for you, Lisa. On the CARB, was that, it went by really fast, but was there a charge on our CNG buses for CARB?
Yes, so this is a new fee that applies to our natural gas vehicles. So we have 2 trucks that from Transit Customer Entities that applies to, and then 125 CNG buses. So this is a new fee.
So would it be higher if we were running diesel?
No, it would apply to diesel also. Although so per vehicle, it's about $31, $32. So it's not excessive. It's just kind of an irritant of a new fee.
Seems very irritating to me,
Yeah, me too.
especially
Yeah.
when we're trying to convert to electric. So are there agencies that are successful in getting that waived because we are converting to electric?
So the one thing I will say is that I can't speak to waivers, but what I can say is that in terms of our maintenance team and being able to test them ourselves instead of paying an outside vendor 3 times that much. So they have, I think, managed that well. But I don't know if anybody's got it waived, but it's certainly something we can pursue and talk to other agencies to see.
Okay. The other thing is that you looked at me when you talked about Metro, and I know you didn't mean anything by that as if I was responsible for that calculation. So I just wanted the record to reflect that.
I think for the
All
record
right.
to show also that the job that they do at Metro in terms of trying to estimate what the funding is going to be is not an easy job. And
No,
I
it
would
isn't.
say 8 out of 10 years, it's to the positive. We're just starting to see a couple of years where it's to the negative.
Yeah, it is my department, but mea culpa. Okay. Let's see, where are we? So we're with finance, and that was a report, so we don't need to vote on it. But we would like to take public comment if there is any. I don't hear any public comment, so we'll move right along. Thank you, Lisa. Item number 8, Jessica Signorella will present this item.
Good afternoon. Oh, that's loud, sorry. Good afternoon, Vice Chair Sutton, members of the board, Mr. McDonald, and all who are assembled here today. My name is Jessica Signorella, and I'm the manager of the Service Planning and Scheduling Department here at Long Beach Transit. I am before you today to provide background on Swiftly and to request LBT's Board of Directors to authorize the President and CEO to enter a 3-year contract with 2 one-year options for the provision of a cloud-based transit service performance management software with Swiftly. Here's an overview of what I will walk through today. I will start with the transit service performance management tracking software and what it is, an overview of Swiftly, how the software functions, why Swiftly has been selected, and staff recommendation. Transit Service Performance Management tracking software is a tool used by public transit agencies to monitor, measure, and improve the performance of services. It tracks key data such as schedule adherence, service delays, layover trends, and other operational metrics. As an example, LBT utilizes the software to monitor the schedule adherence, also known as an on-time performance, of service at the system and route level. LBT's key performance indicator, KPI metric, for schedule adherence is that the system and any individual route be on time at least 85% of the time or more. TSP tracking software helps agencies analyze how well their service is running, identify issues like delay or congestion challenges, and make data-driven decisions to enhance service reliability, customer satisfaction, and overall service quality. Swiftly was first procured by LBT in 2022 as there was an identified need for a transit service performance tracking software to better inform daily operations, how service is planned and scheduled, and customer communications. The software is integrated with LBT's existing Vontis CAD AVL system, which stands for Computer-Aided Dispatch Automatic Vehicle Location. The simple user interface and direct integration with existing systems and software provides access to accurate historical data that allows staff across departments to make meaningful changes. LBT utilizes Swiftly's proprietary tools, such as their Performance Insight modules, to improve service reliability and long-term planning. A key module LBT staff utilize is on-time performance. This module provides a detailed picture of how LBT's vehicles are adhering to their scheduled service. This module also allows staff to pinpoint where performance issues may arise and identify which routes, trips, and bus stops impact on-time performance the most. Run times is an essential module used by LBT staff to analyze actual versus scheduled running time for every segment in our bus network. For clarity, running time reflects the time it takes for a bus to travel from one bus stop to another. GPS playback is an important module that allows staff to replay vehicle movements based on historical GPS data. It enables staff across departments to see where vehicles are during their trip for any time period and date range. Also, customer relations and communications uses the module to resolve questions such as, my bus never showed up, or I lost an item, but I don't know which bus, in minutes. The last module is called Operator Reports. This module allows staff to view the performance for each operator as it relates to running time and on-time performance. Why Swiftly? Swiftly is utilized by numerous peer agencies within Southern California, including LA Metro, Santa Monica Big Blue Bus, Torrance Transit, OCTA, and North County Transit District. In addition, other agencies across the country, such as SEPTA in Philadelphia, Metro or WMATA in Washington, D.C., and MBTA in Boston, use the software. Swiftly's simple user interface and provision of historical data enhance the response process for customer care agents, as well as transit service delivery and planning staff when investigating, responding, and adjusting service as informed by internal and external customers. The software ensures operator compliance by providing a suite of performance insight tools that are designed to streamline service delivery, monitor performance, and compliance with operator work rules. In addition, Swiftly's data is being utilized internally to develop a unique portal for LBT operators to log in and check their on-time performance on a regular basis, further empowering operators to deliver excellent customer service and make everyday lives better. Swiftly will be integrated with LBT's future Enterprise Resource Planning, Enterprise Asset Management software system, ensuring seamless, easy access of use for all LBT staff. Staff recommends LBT's Board of Directors authorize the President and CEO to enter a 3-year contract with Swiftly Inc. for the provision of a cloud-based transit service performance management software at a cost of $644,650 with 2 one-year options at $236,723 for option year 1 and $248,559 for option year 2 for a total authorization amount not to exceed $1,129,932. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Are there questions from the board? Yes, Raul?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Hi, Jessica. Thank you for the presentation. Also, thank you for forwarding a copy of your presentation ahead of time for us to review. Very helpful. Thank you to Jen. I appreciate that. So I'm disappointed that there was no DBE goal set contract. And over the years, we've talked about setting DBE goals. And there have been numerous contracts where there's no DBE or it's a very insignificant amount. I went back to the January 2022 meeting, and back then we had a 1% DBE goal. So I'm just wondering, why are we encountering this? Is it the way that we work with vendors? Is it that our website is not clear enough? Is it that we don't do outreach? I understand this is a specialized field, but I'm also curious, in the last 2 years, I can't imagine that there aren't more firms or more diverse firms, because I think in 2022, Ken, you said there were 3 firms that handled this type of contract. Can't imagine in the last 2 years, there's not more diversity to work with a vendor like that. Can you give me some insight as to why there was no goal for this contract?
I think I would say from that, because this, Director, I think you sort of stated the fact, this company is a very specialized, and there are no extra work that it can give to someone else. They do all of the software analysis. It's all cloud-based. Before they went to cloud-based, there were opportunities for them to work with other people, but now that they're cloud-based operation, there is no other work that they can give to someone because they monitor it themselves. So there was no opportunity to put a DB goal in there. And that's why there was not a DB goal. And the second part of what you mentioned is that back in 2022, we had a couple more organizations. Some of them have disappeared. So as these become more centralized, some of them gobble up the other one. That's part of what happened. So it's because of the specialization. It's not that we don't have a DB requirement, but because of the specialization of this specific work, there was no, putting one would not have given us any, because they don't have any work to give out that they don't do themselves.
Okay, well, I understand and thank you, but I do hope that LBT does have a high goal setting, a high setting DBE goal for everything that we do. In this case, I understand the circumstances that we're very limited and very specialized area, but I hope that we can continue to see more DBE goals being met. I am in support of the motion, but I was just curious to know that there was no DBE set. Thank
So I
you.
promise you, the next one coming up, you're gonna see a much
Yeah.
bigger goal
Excellent.
than we have put in a long time. Okay.
Yes, Randy?
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Jessica. And yeah, Director, I also saw that when reading through this and went in and looked at some of the competition out there. And it really is one of those circumstances where there's not much else that comes close to what the agency needs to do this properly. So that's unfortunate, right? We hope as many industries and with some of the latest tech, that'll probably change. So maybe in a few years from now, we can look at it again. But good question. I had the same concern. To talk about this more specifically, thank you again for the presentation. I think this is one of those no-brainer things. Obviously, it's a cost, but to me, what's most attractive about this is the ROI, potential efficiency, for the organization as a whole, yes, but also for the way that our teammates do their jobs. The ability to have real-time monitoring, that's huge, and is one of those things that you don't fully understand how incredible that is to an organization until you've been using it actively for some time. It's one of those more than the sum of its parts kind of things. And that's going to be very helpful for us long term, which is the last reason why I support this is it future proofs us. This is a company that's used by, like you said, over 150 other agencies around the country and around the world, very trustworthy. And while they're not necessarily our competition, they are setting the status quo, right? And at LBT, we want to make sure that we follow that or exceed it. I do have a few questions, if that's okay. It sounds like we have been utilizing them, at least in some circumstance, for some time now, correct? Do we have estimates yet or any data on the specific amount of time or money saved thanks to some of these efficiencies?
Yeah, so previously to Swiftly, through Hastis, we had something called ATP. I'm speaking specifically for scheduling the service. We're a lean team, so having something that's more faster to use is really beneficial. The ATP analysis would take quite a number of hours and pages of information. So this has really made it where we can do scheduling adjustments within each service change and not just focus on, let's say, 1 to 2 routes, but look at quite a handful of routes. And it's allowed us to be a lot more responsive to the comments and feedback we get from our operators about service. So to your question of quantifying it, that's been a little difficult because staff have changed and I don't think there was a regular documentation of the hours spent with ATP. But that is something that we could look at kind of tracking in the future.
Yeah, unfair question. That's an exceedingly difficult thing to track precisely. I want it down to the minute next time. Just kidding. Not at all. That's fantastic to hear. Thank you. Not to skip ahead to our next agenda item, but you did also mention that this is planning on being integrated into our next ERA and ERP systems. Do you foresee any particular challenges with that?
Well, it's a cloud-based service, so
Yeah.
I would say it's quite simple.
Okay.
Um,
Fantastic. Another benefit of doing these type of things. And then for our teammates, what new training, if any, necessary for teammates that utilize this tool, or are they already up to speed on it?
Sure. Our customer care agents are already trained on it. There was an on-site training even last year, just as a refresher, knowing that there was change in management in my department, me being the new person since April 23. Aside from that, my team's already trained, and we've made sure that our transit service delivery supervisors are also trained on it. In terms of that kind of unique dashboard where we're using an API from Swiftly to build something for our operators, there will have to be kind of a greater discussion on the training for that. But in SMART, which is a state mandated training for all of our bus operators and any staff with a Class B, my department does walk them through Swiftly on a regular basis. So once that dashboard's live, it will be a more personalized training in the room with them during their kind of monthly SMART class.
Sure, perfect. And because it's cloud-based too, I would imagine as they introduce new features over time, we have some kind of rep or something from the company come and walk us through what's expected if there are any changes to the platform.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Those are my questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Ed?
I don't really have a question, but in light of the dialogue and discussion, I have a recommendation. So Jessica, since you're the contract manager as it relates to this, as it relates to, sort of what people forget when we talk about minority-owned businesses and, having opportunities is there are women and minorities at majority-owned firms. And often when a company, if you can just convey this particular exchange to the vendor, and in light of the fact that we may different as an organization than what's currently taking place at the federal level, is that we do still care about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the fact is that if there's an opportunity to have folks that are assigned to this particular engagement, who can then advance our initiative as it relates to the DEI. I think certainly you've heard the exchange here from the board level that would be a priority, number one. Number two also is to take on Swifty and encourage them to really under their wing mentor other folks who may get into this footprint so that you can develop new vendors and greater competition. I know it's counterintuitive, but we probably are not the first company who are going to ask for these type of conversation. So that's just my 2 cents.
I agree. I think the second part, the first part, yes, we do as much as we can. It would be important to look at the second part of your statement of how we can talk to Swiftly of what can be done to mentor people to become part of that. I don't think we've done that. So I will take that on to make sure that.
Just a couple questions and we'll let you go, Jessica. So is the basis for pricing on how many users we have in the agency, or is it based on the number of buses in our fleet?
Fleet size, correct, number of buses in the fleet.
Okay. And would there be any cost savings in the future by working with the other agencies in the county? I mean, if everybody's using this, would there be some kind of clout we could do by gathering everybody up and saying, we're gonna go out for one procurement for all?
Yeah, I know they've done cooperative agreements, but they do have a premium fee kind of incorporated in there because they go through a third party for that, which you don't normally see with cooperatives. But aside from that, I know there's efforts with Cal ITP for something like that, which is under SCAG, I believe, or no, sorry, Caltrans. But I could see that being really beneficial given the users that I mentioned that are neighboring agencies.
Yeah, it just seems like it would be a natural thing for you all to work together and I know that data is sacred, but some data might be helpful, you know, for transfers and things like that. Also, I know this is a lot about buses and where they are and how they move and lat longs and GPS and all that. But is there a passenger component to this? Is there passenger counts that are incorporated into the software?
No, there's no ridership or passenger counts that are incorporated at the moment. It's really purely the service itself, and then what kind of impact delays or detours and things like that are having that are impacting the on-time performance or affecting the running times and their variability.
Yeah, is there a module that could be purchased later or considered later that would give you that ability to input passenger counts?
Yes, in a way. They recently absorbed or bought out a company called Hopthrough, which is an automated passenger counter software that previous to being bought out was a startup where the founder really built a lot of that to really comply with National Transit Database reporting standards. So they have that opportunity now, but yeah.
I would add that, Director, that there is a technology now where the people that supply the cameras are looking at how you can do counting from using the camera. I was talking to the vendor during this conference, and they're going to send me a proposal to look at what we can do to do counting through the camera. That is one technology being used by two transit I know of. And I asked to see what is going on. So yes, there are some advances going on now that getting away from the manual or the the wireless count when you walk in the door using the cameras now. So we'll see where that goes, but it's really in its infancy. But there are steps going in that direction.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Jessica. Are there any comments from the audience? Hearing none? Okay. Well, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Awesome. Okay. We'll do a roll call vote.
Chair Mejia, Vice Chair Sutton,
Here.
Secretary-
Yes. Sorry.
Secretary Treasurer Yarvey,
Aye.
Director Angeles,
Aye.
Director Kemp, Director Rawlings,
Aye.
Directors Mejia and Kemp have been excused.
Okay, it passes. Congratulations. I'll have to read this into the record, I guess. The recommendation to authorize the president and CEO to enter into a 3-year contract with Swifty Incorporated for the provision of a cloud-based transit services performance management software at a cost of $644,650 with 2 1-year options at $236,723 for option year 1 and $248,559 for option year 2, for a total authorization amount not to exceed $1,129,932 is approved. Now we'll move on to item number 9, and Pretty George will present this.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair Sutton, members of the board, Mr. McDonald, and all who are assembled here. My name is Pretty George, and I serve as the Executive Director, Vice President of Information Technology at Long Beach Transit. Today, I'm here to present the Enterprise Resource Planning and Enterprise Asset Management Implementation Plan, a transformative initiative aimed at modernizing our systems, enhancing operational efficiency, and improving employee experience. This project represents a critical investment in LBT's future, ensuring we have the right technology, processes, and tools to support our long-term goals. As part of today's presentation, I will be seeking your approval to proceed with the implementation contract. The agenda will be the following: history and challenges, current system flow, new system objectives, future system overview, our approach to implementation, change management strategy, training approach, project timeline, and staff recommendation. LBT's current ERP EAM system was implemented in 2002, 23 years ago. While the legacy system has supported operations for decades, the system is now outdated, reached the end of technical support, and increasingly unable to meet the growing demands of our organization. Additionally, limited scalability and high cost of workarounds hinder our ability to adapt to operational needs, forcing reliance on expensive third-party solutions and manual processes that drive up IT maintenance costs. Limited data visibility is another major challenge, as siloed and disconnected platforms prevent real-time insights. Furthermore, operational inefficiencies directly impact employee productivity, as outdated manual processes slow down workflows, increase administrative workloads, and require redundant data entry across multiple systems. Employees spend excessive time navigating inefficient systems with limited automation and self-service capabilities, creating unnecessary dependencies on administrative staff. To address these challenges, we engaged Intour Consulting in 2022 to help with development of the scope and review the RFPs. Today, I'm seeking your approval to transition to a more integrated, flexible, and scalable system that will better support our operational performance and improve organizational efficiency. Currently, LBT relies on multiple standalone systems to manage finance, procurement, asset management, human resources, and payroll. While these systems support individual tasks, they do not integrate it with our ERP, creating disjointed, inefficient processes that require manual data entry across multiple platforms, increasing the risk of errors, duplications, and delays. As seen in the diagram, the gap between each system highlights how data can become siloed, leading to inefficiencies, delays, and missed opportunities for cross-departmental collaboration. LBT's transition to a modern ERP and EAM system aims to create a seamless, integrated, and user-friendly platform that enhances data-driven decision-making, automation, and organizational efficiency. A modern ERP will remove the cost of maintaining outdated systems and expensive workarounds. Employees will benefit from an intuitive, easy-to-navigate interface that simplifies daily tasks and enhances our productivity. Additionally, advanced analytics and reporting tools will provide leadership with real-time insights for better strategic planning. LBT will implement a seamless, integrated enterprise solution that enhances financial management, human capital management, asset management, and data intelligence to improve decision-making across the organization. Oracle Cloud powers financial management, streamlining projects, grants, budgeting, procurement, and sourcing. In addition, human capital management will, will focus on payroll, benefits, talent, and recruitment. Trapeze supports asset management, ensuring inventory tracking, maintenance programs, work orders, warranty management to optimize asset utilization. Oracle Fusion Data Intelligence simplifies data management by combining data warehousing, analytics, and automation. Finally, Oracle uses AI, generative AI, machine learning, large language models to deliver predictive insights, automated reports, and improves financial forecasting and maintenance planning. This slide represents our future state integration map. The solution will centralize data, automate workflows, and create a seamless, integrated system. Let's discuss our implementation approach. Long Beach Transit is integrating a design thinking approach in deployment of its systems to ensure technology solutions align with user needs, operational efficiency, and strategic priorities. The deployment process follows a structured sequence, starting with discovery, mapping, gap analysis, then moving to design and configuration, prototyping and testing, training, and then deployment. The methodology allows us to systematically identify challenges, validate process requirements, and map them to software capabilities while leveraging best practices. Our iterative approach emphasizes collaboration and ensures system configurations are refined based on real-world experiences. Through iterative testing and validation, system prototypes allow users to provide feedback, refining configuration before full implementation. This structured rollout minimizes disruption while maximizes user adoption. The training phase focuses on equipping employees with the knowledge to fully leverage capabilities of the new system. To talk about change management, successful change management requires a structured approach integrating change planning, business readiness, leadership alignment, communication, education, and training. A well-defined change plan helps mitigate risk, establishes clear milestones, and ensures a structured transition. Business readiness assessments identifies gaps and ensures the organization is prepared for adoption. Leadership sets the tone by modeling new behaviors, actively engaging employees, and reinforcing trust in the change process. Clear and consistent communication reduces uncertainty, encourages two-way dialogue, and aligns stakeholders. And finally, education and training equips employees with the necessary skills and knowledge to embrace and sustain the change successfully. LBT's leadership is committed to ensuring that our teams are well informed and supported throughout the process, fostering a culture of engagement, transparency, so that we achieve long-term success. Our training approach embraces a multi-generational strategy, ensuring employees across diverse roles and experience levels receive effective, accessible, and engaging training. By recognizing the influence of early adopters, we will leverage their insights to continually enhance the system, drive innovation, and facilitate the seamless adoption of new technologies and best practices across the organization. We will utilize videos, quick reference guides, business process guides, and Oracle guided learning to accommodate these learning styles. To enhance training, we will leverage Oracle guided learning, an in-application tool that provides customized, process-specific guidance as users navigate the Oracle system.
This real-time learning platform will ensure employees receive relevant instructions exactly when they need them, fostering efficiency and reducing errors. Videos and quick reference guides will focus on high-volume transactions and end-user tasks, covering general navigation and self-service. Business process guides will be designed for back office and administrative roles, providing structured day in the life training with step-by-step processes and helpful tips. Let's talk about the project timeline. This is a multi-phase project with a strategic go-live dates. January 1st, 2026, human capital management, which encompasses payroll, will go live. January 1st, 2027, asset management and financial management will go live. March 1st of 2027, budgeting will go live. This slide represents the cost of implementing Oracle and Trapeze, which covers system design, interface deployment, data conversion, reporting, change management, training, and then go live. Additionally, you will see on the slide software and hosting costs for year 1 and 2. And finally, the cost for vendor travel will be managed and approved by LBT. The total cost is $14.5 million with an additional 15% contingency of $2.175 million, bringing the total final cost to $16.675 million. This project is a critical investment in LBT's future, ensuring we have modern, efficient, and reliable systems to support our operations. As I presented in a previous slide, our current systems are outdated and no longer supported, making it essential that we transition to a modern system. Transitioning to new systems is a complex process. As part of our initial discovery, we have already identified 300 processes that need review and refinement. These include human capital management processes such as full hire to retires lifecycle, recruitment to onboarding, performance management, benefits administration, and workforce planning. In addition to those, procurement lifecycle, financial reporting and budgeting, payroll processing, asset lifecycle tracking, work order management, inventory, and parts tracking. The last cost represented for $3.2 million is allocated for the LBT implementation and transition support team, ensuring we have people with knowledge in place to help with the transition and minimize any disruptions. Therefore, staff is requesting LBT's board of directors to authorize the president and CEO to enter into a contract agreement with ASD to implement a new ERP EAM system for a total of $14,500,000 with a 15% contingency of $2,175,000 for a total authorization amount not to exceed $16,675,000. Additionally, extend the contract agreement with Intor Consulting for technical consulting services at a cost of $3,200,000. These two requests are reliant on each other for Project 6. This concludes my presentation, and thank you.
Thank you, Freddie. Any comments from the board? Go ahead.
Thank you very much. As I indicated to you, I'm always supportive of obviously the advancement and of technology as it relates to organizations. I mean, I'm in a business where technology goes out, bad things really happen, and the same thing can happen here. But I would encourage, I guess, in this particular process of a change, that instead of sort of ending at the training part, is to begin at that portion. I find that technical people are not necessarily the best, with all due respect, with respect to the sociology and human relations part of the end user. And often they miss the fact that you should really begin at the end user, understand what they need, and then go back and design the actual changes as it relates to it. Often there's not enough dialogue and discussions with the people who actually use the software at the end, and we rely on training as opposed to having it where you're designing it so that with the end user in mind, by having that discovery and design much, much earlier, as opposed to an endpoint where now you have, sort of these brilliant technical people to get you to change what the end user is not accustomed or recognizing. So I just wanted to keep that in mind as a soft science person who's the end user. So
Thank you.
I want to specifically thank you for that, because I think one of the things that Pretty said is that we are going to take a design thinking approach. Design thinking approach is that you begin with the user. And that's what we did when we designed this. We hired the consultant up front. We brought about 70 people over to a meeting where we all went through what it is we were going to do. And then they met department by department. It took us almost 2 years to get here. For that reason, did not want to put a system out there that didn't have all our folks involved. And then when they begin the design to implement, that they're involved in it also. Because that's a recipe for failure. I've been to 2 of these and I've learned my lesson.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Pretty. I just have an observation for Ken first. Ken, 2 years ago, May 2022, you said that the next round would be in the millions, and you weren't kidding.
We've been saving for this.
You weren't joking at all.
We've been saving for this for 7 years now. So this, because we don't take on debt.
Yeah.
So we have been, myself and the CFO have
Yeah.
been saving for this for 7 years now.
I'm in support of this item, and congratulations on the DBE goal. That's very exciting. And just my final question, are any of these entities local?
I believe one of the entities on the DBE is in Orange County. That was what we were able to find. But we tried our best.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much.
Raul,
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, other directors. Yeah, I think,
sorry, Randy.
oh, that's okay. We got too many R's in my family. I'll answer to pretty much anything. Sorry, completely lost my train of thought. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, fellow directors. As somebody that designs AI for a living, I still get irritated when Apple updates my phone and I can't find my apps for 2 days. So for something like this, even if you're technologically savvy, like that does not always translate well into something like this. So I think it's probably pretty clear from my previous interactions that I support this as well. I've always believed personally that people do their best work when they have the right tools and the right support. And I think that we have a lot of hurdles ahead of us, especially leading into the end of the decade. And our basic software needs should not be one of them, right? For our teammates. Because at the end of the day, that's who we should be thinking about, is that we should make sure that the systems we provide them ultimately get out of their way, fade completely into the background so people can just do their jobs. And I know for a lot of organizations, LBT included, it's not been that way for quite some time, probably. No fault to us necessarily, that's just the nature of the world, but it's time to get up to speed with everybody else. I remember, I don't want to take too much time, but I remember I used to work at Virgin Orbit, and we would literally build rockets, and we could hit any orbit from anywhere in the world, and it was like this technologically incredible thing. But because we grew so fast and we'd started as a little startup, all the teams had their favorite tools that they would use. And so we would have the legal team using Microsoft Word and finance using something else and somebody using Notion. And it was great within the teams, but then we would have meetings where we're getting ready for a launch and we're like, hold on, guys, we're about to put something in space and we can't find a document we made last week. What is going on here? We should make sure LBT does not have a similar experience. So I just have a couple of questions, if that's all right, to help us understand better as well what you mean when you're talking about incorporating some of these new tools. Um, Specifically for me, I'm curious about predictive analytics. Could you give a couple examples in practice of what that looks
The
like?
data analytics.
Predictive analytics
Predictive
specifically.
analytics, perfect. With what the system does, once we bring our data in, that is the reason why we're bringing in Fusion Intelligence. What it will allow us to do is bring the data in from multiple areas. Then it will study, it will learn our data and help, for example, our budgeting team as they prepare for the budget season to actually use generative AI even to help them write that budget book. And then to look at the past 3 years data and to give them some assessments. So that's a great example that we saw. Some of the other analytics that we can do now is to start looking at our human capital. What are we doing? How are we doing? How are we performing? So that all can go into the analytics tool. Right now, our team members put a lot of time to do that manually. Now that can be all done through data intelligence.
Fantastic. Thank you. And speaking of which, how are we planning to gather and address employee feedback during this transition?
To address employee feedback, this is why we want this iterative process. We will have multiple testing rounds. We will have it's not about just testing for us, it's about understanding. That is why we will bring the employees together, not just to test, but to provide us how they feel about the product. Best thing that we found too is that we can customize the product with colors. You as an individual can make it personal to you. And sometimes that's all it takes for you to feel comfortable within the system.
Yeah, that's very true. Um, yeah, that's a lot, right? For people to learn new habits and workflows. There can be almost a negative ROI at first as people come up to speed, but then you catching back up after the fact and people get used to it. My last question about large language models, since it sounds like we're going to be incorporating some generative AI into that. I know in other organizations, a really big thing is making sure that we have a centralized repository of trusted information. I don't know what we use for that right now, but is that part of the system? Because I know in my previous experience, that's been one of the most helpful things for incorporating smarter tech is just, can I ask a question about my job or someone else's job in the team and get the information that I need instead of digging through pages and pages and pages of internal workbooks and all that fun stuff.
Yes, so that is why we're using encompassing Oracle guided learning with the tool. So what they also have within the system is called the virtual assistant. The virtual assistant now will take the system documentation, which will all be within the Oracle system, and then it'll start learning and you can ask the question. Simple question, for example, how much time off do I have? That is a simple question you can ask the virtual assistant, which will repeat back to you. Or how do I complete the procurement process? It will give you the steps to it. Or it will direct you to the guided learning page to go to or to the business process. So we did review all that during the demo process.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I don't want to take up too much more time, so thank you.
Well, I'll take a little bit more of your time.
Absolutely.
I have a couple of questions. With a project this size, it's always a struggle to get vendors to do what they say they're going to do. Everybody's happy in the beginning because everybody's thinks they know what it's supposed to look like, but at the end, it looks different for different people. So who's in charge, not at LBT, but who's in charge of this project from a management point of view, from a vendor point of view, and making sure that Oracle and Trapeze play nicely together, all of this works well together?
So Intor will be what we call the owner's rep, so that they know our process. They've been through the process with us already. And then we have AST as the system integrator, Oracle and Trapeze as the two systems that we're integrating with. So Intor will be that vendor rep.
Okay, so you can squeeze them when things aren't just quite right, and they're not going to throw up their hands and go, "I don't know how to do this."
No.
Right? Okay. It's a tremendous amount of money. I assume that we're going to spread this over several years in terms of payment.
Yes, we are, and that is why we have the strategic go live phases, and that's how we're going to be doing. It is deliverable based.
And the other question I have is obsolescence. So we're in the middle of this process. It's year 20, early 27. What's the prognosis with Oracle and Trapeze? Are they going to continue to give us updates so that and the integration that we're buying, will it continue to function?
Absolutely. We have yearly upgrades already part of the contract. with both systems. So we will be upgrading every year.
Okay, thank you.
I think some of the questions sound like Pretty and I had about 2 hour session asking, well, what kind of question do you think the board's gonna ask? And I think you asked every question that we went through in that process.
Terrific. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Awesome. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Public comment, any? Y'all love it? Great. Okay, here we go. So, we'll ask for a roll call vote.
Chair Mejia, Vice Chair Sutton,
I approve.
Secretary Treasurer Narve,
Aye.
Director Angeles,
Aye.
Director Kemp, Director Rawlings.
Aye.
Directors Mejia and Kemp have been excused.
Thank you. The motion is approved. And I will read it now. Recommendation to authorize the president and CEO to first enter into an implementation agreement with AST to implement a new ERP/EAM system for a total of $14,500,000 with a 15% contingency of $2,175,000 for a total authorization amount not to exceed $16,675,000. Two, to extend the contract agreement with Intour Consulting Incorporated for an agreement for the provision of ERP/EAM technical consulting services at a cost of $3,200,000 is approved. Now we'll move on to item number 10.
So before we go to item 10, I'd like to say something. I want to thank the board for investing in the future of Long Beach Transit because this has been going on. I think I can breathe a sigh of relief. This started over 7 years ago with me. And I am really, Lisa and I were the first people that started it. Pretty came in and took it over. And there are a lot of staff that I want to thank who put a lot of work into this over the last 7 years. So I want to thank the board for voting in the future because we struggle right now with a lot of outdated software and equipment. So thank you all very much. On behalf of the staff, I know they'll be happy for that.
Well, thank you very much. I know what it's like to get that notice from a software company saying, we don't support this any longer. And it just brings you, let me tell you, it's hard to sleep that night. So I appreciate what you're going through right now and patching your system to get literally patching your system together to keep it working and functioning. And we hope that this system is really does what it's promising. Item 10. Now Marisol Barajas will present agenda item 10.
A little taller. Thank you and good afternoon, Vice Chair Sutton, members of the board, CEO McDonald, and all who are assembled today. Marisol Barajas here, Manager of Government Relations. I'm here today to present an overview of Long Beach Transit's 2025 legislative program. LBT's legislative program is planned to support the following: LBT strategic priorities, advocate for transportation investments, and it also outlines LBT's staff work. With the support of LBT's leadership, I oversee the guiding LBT's legislative program. As staff, we meet with elected representatives and their staff at each level of government, from local, regional, state, and federal, to communicate the services and programs that LBT provides to its customers within the 14 communities it serves. Throughout the year, we ensure LBT's priorities remain at the top of our minds by working with our elected staff and being ready to assist with constituent and legislative concerns and funding issues to enhance the customer experience. This is done with our state and federal professional advocates who are well-versed in prevalent transportation issues and support many transit agencies. LBT also works through the American Public Transportation Association, APTA, and the California Transit Association, CTA, at the federal and state levels to accomplish not only LBT's goals, but also to help advance the industry goals. LBT's president and CEO serves on APTA's legislative committee and CTA's executive committee. Additionally, I serve on CTA's State Legislative Committee. Now I will discuss LBT's legislative program for 2025. During the 2025 legislative program, locally, LBT serves as a regional partner and stakeholder in overall effort to support stabilizing transit service delivery as the agency advances programs for LBT's customers and those who travel throughout LBT's service area and the greater region. LBT is committed to protecting and enhancing local and regional transportation funding by continuing to work collaboratively with the City of Long Beach, surrounding cities, Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, LA Metro, and the Southern California Association of Governments, SCAG, to ensure transportation funding is maximized and continues to flow on a consistent and reliable basis. At the state level, LBT continues to advocate with its partners to protect and enhance the state transportation funding. LBT works with CTA to ensure that public transit agencies can continue enhancing customers' experience, improving mobility options, growing LBT services, and furthering the state's environmental objectives and supporting good paying jobs. LBT, along with CTA, partners with key stakeholders and forms coalitions advocating for the protection of transit agencies through the following priorities. Protect existing transit operations and capital funds. 2, secure new sources of funding for transit, enhance public awareness of essential nature of public transit, and build support for increased transit funding. And 3, pursue laws and regulations that support transit and defeat those that impede transit's ability to meet the public's mobility needs. LBT is committed to protecting existing transit, capital, and operations funding and pursuing additional dedicated formula funding for transit and resources to increase ridership to public transportation systems. In partnership with CTA, LBT will also engage in any efforts to extend the cap and trade program beyond 2030 and advocate for the continuation and growth of dedicated resources from the program for transit agencies. LBT continues to support the SB 125 Transit Transformation Task Force by engaging with California State Transportation Agency, CalSTA, CTA staff, and other transit stakeholders who regularly participate in developing recommendations on the variety of transit-related topics, including, among others, transit ridership recovery, long-term funding for transit agencies, and the Transportation Development Act. Advocating for maintaining existing transit funding sources, committed to capital and operations in fiscal years 24, 25, 23 to 24, your Senate Bill 1 is also vital in upholding protecting the state's continued investment in public transportation, especially given the anticipation of another, although lesser, budget deficit in fiscal year 25 and 26, excuse me. LBT and CTA will continue to address the impacts of deploying zero-emission vehicles, including pursuing funding for deployment of zero-emission transit vehicles and the electrification of our commercial harbor craft known as the water taxi by engaging the California Air Resources Board through various forums. LBT will continue to seek opportunities to leverage its partnerships and resources to support local and regional efforts and maximize its capital improvements and operating programs while advancing goals for sustainability and mobility. Other state legislation coordinated with CTA will also focus on improving driver testing and licensing timeframes and prioritizing electricity for transit agencies to ensure priority access to electricity during grid disruptions. Now I'm moving on to the federal level. During the last 4 weeks, the new administration has issued almost 100 executive orders and policy directives. Many of these orders include a pause in some transportation funding, termination of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, imposing new tariffs, and establishing new priorities for competitive grants.
LBT's mission and core values remain as important as ever. Now more than ever, it's vital to strengthen partnerships with key stakeholders and continue to form coalitions advocating for the protection of public transportation industry. LBT, along with APTA, will continue to advocate for federal funding, policies, and practices essential to support and strengthen the public transportation industry by concentrating on the following priorities: protect existing transit operations and capital funds, secure new sources of funding for transit operations and capital projects, respond to federal rulemaking and notices to ensure the new programs and new requirements under the new administration are implementable by California's transit agencies, and engage and foster public and private partnerships to successfully influence favorable policy outcomes. If the United States Congress begins to continue, I'm sorry, if the United States Congress begins Freudian slip. If the United States Congress begins consider creating new funding streams to support transit operations, LBT and transit industry associations will follow principles developed by APTA's Federal Legislative Committee. As the industry continues to interpret and understand the impact of executive actions, staff will continue to coordinate with federal legislative representatives to ensure timely information, education, and guidance that support LBC services, current and future programs, and its initiatives. This concludes my presentation of LBT's 2025 legislative program.
Thank you, Marisol. I'm sure there's some comment. Any? Putting you on the spot.
Uh, Clearly, having served in that building, you know for a fact that there is a pivot as it relates to blue states and red states and FTA and funding as it relates to that. And I don't necessarily believe that it's helpful to have our member of Congress, Gerardo Garcia, going out and making speeches and comments and editorials about the current administration. So I think my only comment would be just be prepared. I just think it's a tough call for us in the next 4 years.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Marisol, thank you very much. I appreciate your presentation and the program, your program looking forward. I also just want to commend you and your team for all the meetings that you attend and all the travel that you embark on to ensure that LBT's riders continue to receive service that they seek. I've seen you at several transit agency meetings and proudly representing Long Beach Transit's interest. And I think to piggyback on my colleague, LBT is really going to need you in these next 4 years with everything, especially on the federal level, to ensure that we can continue to provide service. So continue to be strong and a strong advocate and a voice for Long Beach and LBT and for the community. So thank you.
Thank you for your support. Very much needed.
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
Thank you, Jen. Well, I'm not going to say anything that's already been said better by my fellow directors, but yeah, I think buckle up, right? I think regardless where anybody falls on the political spectrum, at the end of the day, all of our jobs are to make sure that we can provide the services that our community deserves. And that might get a little bit harder for a lot of different reasons. So obviously, lean on us, lean on the team, and let's make sure we're all pulling together to represent our mission and our values and what we need to do for our community. And thank you for being a big lead on it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. I just, one of the things that at the Metro Board today was Supervisor Hahn mentioned that there's a state bill that's 992 or 929 or was introduced last week for $20 billion for the state transportation. So just wanted to bring that to your attention if you haven't heard about it. And if you have, then maybe next month you can let us know what the status of that is.
Yes, thank
you. I did hear your team from our legislative counterpart over LA Metro provide a overview on the proposed bill that's been authored by LA Metro for the ballot measure.
Thank you. Great report. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Oh,
Mr. Director
Oh, yeah.
Hickman.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to make a quick comment. So thank you. And as one of the local partners that you had mentioned, one of the many local partners you had mentioned, I just wanted to say we appreciate you and appreciate working with you and all that you do. So thanks.
Sir. Thank you. Vice Chair, I'm sorry, we do have a comment from a public comment from the online. Kurt Canfield?
Hi there, can you hear me? Am I
Yes.
audible?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, as a member of the public, I'm terrified as to what the Trump administration's going to do to transit. So I'm not even going to talk about that. But as far as local sources of funding, Long Beach, City of Long Beach awarded $6 million to a private shuttle company, Circuit Transit. And, you know, that money is about what Long Beach Transit gets from Measure A receipts from the City of Long Beach. So roughly the same amount of money that Long Beach gives to Long Beach Transit, they just gave away to a private shuttle company. And I think that that's something that Long Beach Transit should be spending more attention and time focusing on, because that money should be going to LBT. Long Beach Transit provides more efficient service for more people. For, you know, I mean, obviously it comes with a fare, but the cost of the service is far lower than what it costs to run small golf carts. So I think, you know, as a member of the public, as a resident of Long Beach, I would love to see Long Beach Transit try harder when it comes to courting our city in terms of getting more funding, because it doesn't seem like Long Beach Transit is interested in that. The funding level has remained flat since 2019. You now have a former board member who's a newly elected council member, Tunua. I mean, I think there's a good opportunity that Long Beach Transit has to try and claw back some of that goodwill, some of that funding from the city of Long Beach. That's all.
Thank you for, sorry about that. Thank you. All right, well, thank you for your comment. Are there any other public comments? Okay, hearing none, this was a receive and file. I thank you for your presentation. Okay, now we're up to item 11.
Okay. Good afternoon, Vice Chair Sutton, members of the board, and all who assembled here today. I am Kenneth McDonald, President and CEO at Long Beach Transit. I promised at last year's budget discussion to present the budget development process as we begin creating the 2026 budget. Today, 2 staff members and I will present to you LBT's 2026 budget development process. As we get started, I will first orient you to the topics we will review this afternoon. I'll begin with an LBT overview. Ashley Liang, our treasurer, will then present the fiscal year 2026 operating and capital budget process. Then Mike Gold will present the public communication and outreach plan. I will close the presentation with a conclusion of LBT's 2026 budget development process. Public agencies like Long Beach Transit must develop an annual balanced budget to meet legal obligations and ensure effective financial management. LBT's budget acts as a financial plan that directs how funds are allocated. It ensures funds are spent efficiently and in compliance with legal and regulatory standards and requirements. The budgeting process promotes transparency and accountability. By clearly outlining how the agency revenue are used, the budget strengthens public trust and aligns with LBT's commitment to transparency and integrity in our budget process. The budget plays a crucial role in the financial accountability, ensuring that funds are directed to mission critical projects and long term objectives. A well structured budget advances LBT vision and supports the agency's strategic priority. Ultimately, a balanced budget reflects LBT's mission of connecting communities and making everyday life better. I will now ask Ashley Liang, LBT's treasurer, to walk us through the budget process.
Good afternoon. My name is Ashley Liang, and I'm the treasurer for Long Beach Transit. And I will provide an overview of the operating and capital budget process. The operating and capital budget process consists of 4 main sections. Starting at the top left, moving counterclockwise, the process begins with strategic planning, followed by funding, then resource allocation, and finally reporting. I will explore each of these sections in more detail in the following slides. Throughout the budget process, the foundation of LBT's annual budget, the budget are the budget assumptions, which are parameters that are embedded in budget calculations. These assumptions include factors such as service hours and miles, wage increases, pension and health rates, fuel prices, and other essential factors. Next, we will explore each of the categories of the budget process, starting with strategic planning. This initial phase focuses on defining the agency's core business categories, objectives, for the upcoming year while ensuring alignment with its capital focus. It also involves establishing a budget theme that reflects the anticipated fiscal environment. During this process, LBT works to achieve internal stakeholder alignment by developing initiatives and tactics to support the agency's strategic priorities and objectives. This phase begins in January of each year and is completed by the second week of March. The next process is funding. LBT's budget is supported by 2 primary revenue sources. One is operating revenue, the second is subsidy revenue. In collaboration with LA Metro, the regional planning agency for LA County, and through the analysis of economic data such as sales tax receipts, staff develops a projection for both operating and subsidy revenue by the middle of March. In the resource allocation phase, individual departments develop their budgets based on previously established assumptions while incorporating initiatives that support LBT strategic priorities and objectives. For example, departments consider factors such as labor expenses, fleet maintenance requirements, aligning them with projected service hours and miles. The proposed departmental budgets can undergo a rigorous review process by the steering committee, which consists of the CEO, the deputy CEO, and the executive director and VP of finance and budget. Additionally, any new initiatives for the upcoming year are evaluated by the executive leadership team based on available funding. The budget allocation process for individual departments is completed by the first week of April. The final stage of the operating and capital budget process is reporting. Throughout the budget season, staff simultaneously work on the budget book, which undergoes review by the ELT before being submitted to the board secretary for publication. In response to board feedback from last year's budget process, LBT has implemented an official public communication and outreach plan, which Mike Gold, our executive director and VP of customer relations and communication, will outline following my presentation. To conclude the reporting process, a board executive committee meeting will be held ahead of the board of directors meeting, which will be held on May 15th this year, where staff will present final budget for approval. Concurrently with the operating budget process, LBT conducts an internal capital call, focusing on key capital strategic focus as departments collaborate to develop a 3-year budget plan. Capital call submissions are evaluated by the key performance indicators team, who then recommends projects to the executive leadership team for approval. Once approved, LBT's capital projects and grants team strategically allocates funding to the appropriate projects. This concludes my presentation of the operating and capital budget process. Next, I will pass on to Mike Gold to discuss the public communication outreach.
Thank you, Ashley. Good afternoon, Vice Chair Sutton, members of the board, CEO, President, and CEO McDonald, to all those assembled. I'm Mike Gold, and I'm the Executive Director and Vice President of Customer Relations and Communication. And I'm here to talk about the public outreach and communication process. So this year, staff has developed a process to better understand our customer priorities with respect to service and provide that opportunity for our customers to provide feedback on the budget process and what's being proposed. To do this, we're going to do the following. One, to understand our customer priorities, we're going to develop a brief survey and send it to our database of over 4,000 customer and community members, asking them to rank their priorities with respect to service. In addition, we're going to promote the survey that we have out in the field during community presentations and on social media during the months of March and early April when the survey will be live. We'll provide a QR code, that kind of stuff, so people can easily access the survey. The survey will help LBT better understand what our customers want most, meaning they're going to tell us what's most important to them. More frequency, meaning more buses that are coming more often, or do they want later service, late night service? Do they want security at bus stops or onboard bus? Really just asking them to rank their priorities with respect to our service. And again, the goal is we want to understand our customer priorities. In late April, staff will post a presentation that provides an overview of the LBT budget, where our funds come from, how those funds are spent, and what are the key initiatives that we're proposing for fiscal year 2026. Survey feedback will be used to demonstrate how those objectives that are in the budget align with the customer priorities, and we can identify the gaps of what's being proposed and what the customers are telling us. For example, if the customers tell us that one of their top priorities is security and they want to see more security at bus stops, we can note, for example, that, hey, we've got a project that's coming to enhance the amenities on Cherry Avenue and stops and lighting and amenities. That's just an example. A short presentation will be available online, posted to the LBT website with the goal of helping the public, again, understand how LBT is funded, how we spend our dollars, and how the priorities they told us align with what's being proposed in the budget. This presentation will be online. It'll be available in English, Spanish, and Khmer. And customers, again, will have the opportunity to provide feedback to us via email or calling LBT. The customer comment period will close on about April 9th. So this concludes my portion of the presentation, and I will return it over to President and CEO Ken.
Finally, the development of a balanced budget is not only a fundamental part of LBT financial management responsibility, it is also a key driver of the agency ability to deliver on its mission, vision, and strategic priority. A carefully planned and executed budget demonstrates that LBT is committed to being responsible stewards of taxpayer dollars. Approximately 75% of each year's budget is labor and benefit. Transit is a labor-intensive business. The goal of LBT's budget is to ensure that we continue to meet the agency's transportation needs of the community while remaining accountable and transparent. That concludes the presentation of the process for LBT's 2026 budget process. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken, and others. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Go ahead, Randy.
Perhaps this is for Mike, and if not, that's okay. Just curious, I know we do a pretty good job putting out, I should correct myself, we do a great job trying to involve the community as much as possible. What are the response rates like typically for those? Do you have a percentage for, if you put them out and you assume 1,000 people see them, how many people actually do willingly contribute information?
Well, we haven't done a whole lot of, when we do our customer and community survey that you'll hear about next month, that's done a little bit differently. But when we put out our newsletter, which is there's a database overlap with who we're going to send. We have a great response. We get a 30% open rate on our community newsletter, which, if you know standards, is really good.
Yeah.
So we do have an active and engaged community. And so that database has grown over the years. So I'm expecting a positive response to this survey as well. And we're going to make it short and simple, make it really easy for people to take. So we're not asking a lot of their time.
That's perfect. That's great to hear. That's very impressive, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Mike, thank you. In regards to the survey, the outreach, will the board get to see a proposed survey?
I would defer that question to our CEO.
I was just curious. I can hear you. Mike, in terms of the customer priorities, and please correct me if I misheard, the survey will allow the respondents to provide feedback. For example, you mentioned frequency, security, more routes. Those were examples. And then you went on to say, if the top priority that we find is more security, you're going to be able to get back to those respondents in the social media post or whatever. And you're going to say, hey, we listened to you and we have a new routes coming where there's going to be new stops that will provide better security. Did I hear that correctly?
You did. So we're, based on the years of surveying we've been doing, we understand what the top priorities tend to be. So we're going to list those and ask our customers to rank them. But of course, they'll have the opportunity to add something we may not have thought of. And then once we get those results and we look at what's being proposed in the budget, we can let them know, this is what you told us is important. And as we work through the budget process, this is what we're proposing, and explain. We may get a suggestion of, well, we want you to run service to Dodger Stadium, right? So we can go through that public comment process and say, some things we can work on in the immediate year, other things we can put into the hopper to consider in future years.
Okay, thank you. Because my question is, let's just say you get 4,000 surveys back and 3,000 of them are asking for seats at the bus stops, trash cans at the bus stops, and shade. Are you going to fulfill that? Or is it going to be, how much bang can we get for our money and not do it at all? Because I know those are expensive.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to look at what we get back, and we're also going to look at our funds, right? And then, what we do with our customer surveys traditionally in the past is we use that to prioritize our service. And I think we would do the same in this case. We would take a look at it and prioritize it. And within the constraints of our budget, obviously, if we get, a request to have benches at every stop, and there's over 2,000 stops, we have to look at that and kind of measure that against the priorities and our resources, and then put a plan together as what we can and can't do in the future year and years ahead. Remember, we do a 3-year capital program, right? So then this could go into a multi-year program.
Well, I do hope that the results of the survey are really taken in earnest by LBT. Personally, I have been an advocate for more shade and more seats or benches. Some of my colleagues have also expressed that as well. We've had callers express that as well. We've had callers express more stops. I won't say callers, but public comment. So I really like LBT to really take those into consideration. I feel like if we don't do it at some point, we're going to be having this conversation for the next 5 years, and we won't see any stops. I mean, any benches or shade. And I'm not talking about the ones that went on Broadway or on Artesia. I'm talking about just going to the existing stops and installing benches and shades, because the weather, as you know, is getting worse. There's more rain, there's more sun, and it's more intense. And I look at people standing outside without a shade, nowhere to sit, and we have to try to fulfill those needs. So I really hope that we take those suggestions into consideration.
Any other comments from the board? Okay. I do have one comment, and that is that TAP has a database and I think we can narrow it down to Long Beach writers. And if you would like to extend that survey to that group, we'd be glad to help you with that. Sure. Good report. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 11. We just did 11. So any public comment on item 11? Hearing none, we'll move
Yes.
on. Oh, we
Sorry.
do have some. Great.
Kurt Canfield?
Yeah, just to get an early bird start on ideas to throw into that survey. It seems every Reddit thread, somebody is chiming in about how they wish that the flyaway still ran to Long Beach. And considering that Long Beach Transit is running buses up the 405 as it is with the UCLA route, I don't know, hourly service to LAX at a higher fare of like, I don't know, $15, I think that you could get quite a lot of takers on a service like that. So here we go.
Thank you for your suggestion. Any other public comment? Okay, well, we'll move on to item 12. I'd like to indulge the board on this and suggest that we move this to the next meeting since Abigail and Carl are not here. And they were very interested in this item. This is the item to expand the information that's on the agenda for each board meeting with the idea of acting on an item with an amendment or a motion. Is everybody in agreement with that? Okay. So Secretary, we'll move that to next month. You would? Thank you. Is there any public comment on 12? I will take public comment if there is any. Hearing none. Okay, we'll move on to item 13, which is public comment. So is there any public comment on the public comment? All right, I appreciate our callers today. I wish we had more, and I wish we had more people.
Vice Chair, sorry, we do.
Oh, great. Okay.
Kurt Canfield?
Hit you with the buzzer beater. I just wanted to say thank you to Mike Gold. So I'm a member and board member of the Long Beach Bicycle Co-op, and Mike Gold has been a great help in what hopefully will be a really fun and positive partnership with the Long Beach Bicycle Co-op. LBT gets abandoned bicycles on their bus racks every day, and the Long Beach Bicycle Co-op fixes broken bicycles. So we've got a partnership now where LBBC will be hopefully taking some of those abandoned bicycles and recirculating them back into the community. So that's very exciting for us. Having a steady supply of bikes to fix is, really important. And it's just really nice that we have a community relations manager who is interested in partnerships like this and fights for them. So thank you to Mike Gold.
Thank you for that comment. Any other public comment? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Let's see, we were on 13, now we're on 14. Are there any requests from the board? Go ahead, Ed.
I don't really have a specific request, but I would be remiss if I did not publicly thank Mayor Rex Richardson for my reappointment to LBT. And so truly honored to continue to serve in this capacity, and want to just acknowledge the reappointment and thank the mayor for that. And then I also wanted to thank the staff and for taking the time for the LBT One tour. I truly did value the tour and certainly learned a lot. Certainly there was a lot of highlights, but I know that you all did a lot of, sort of preparation to, have us have that experience. But I especially appreciated Lisa's general briefing on the art, and amazingly enough, how much art there was actually at LBT1. If those of you in the public who've not had a chance to actually appreciate the two murals and as well as the structure that is at LBT1, please go and visit it. It's actually, to me, one of the gems that we have in Long Beach. So thank you very much for taking the time to do that.
Yeah, Vice Chair, it's just a query, Ken. Will we get an update or presentation on the Grand Prix that's in April next month in terms of our presence at the Acura at the Grand Prix? Will we be showcasing at the Grand Prix? And if we are, would it be an ideal time or an opportunity to also have a job recruitment table at the Grand Prix?
Each year we have a bus, we have a section inside of the facility that is the Long Beach Transit section there, where we do all of that. So employees volunteer, and that has been, as long as I've been the CEO, been there 11 years and even before I got here. So that has been a staple in the organization, each Grand Prix. We could put out an offer for any board member who wanted to volunteer to work at the, we've never done that before, but we can do that this year if we wanted to, but that is something we do each and every year.
Chair, if I may.
Go ahead, Randy.
Just a small quip. I actually think that's kind of genius. I know it's not our job to be coming up with like marketing or future workforce potential hiring content, but if anybody's taking notes, I think personally it'd be really great to be looking for new drivers at the Grand Prix. There's some pretty funny, pretty fun social content we might be able to do with that in the future, actually, to get the community involved in a fun way. That would be something really cool to see.
Ken, I have a question. Can I drive the bus around the track once? Would that be okay? Awesome, awesome. Okay. Well, all kidding aside, we've concluded our board requests, so we're at adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Second. Second. Awesome. We'll have our next meeting on March 27th. We hope to see you there. And we'll do a roll call vote to close out.
Chair Mejia, Vice Chair Sun,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Yorve,
Aye.
Director Angeles,
Aye.
Director Kemp, Director Rawlings,
Aye.
Directors Mejia and Kemp have been excused.
This meeting is closed. Thank you all.